Thanks, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. Real honor to be on stage for the second time here, and I want to thank everyone for attending. So, yeah, my name is Brett Swarts. Proud to be with eXp. Been with about 6-7 months now, and moving to the eXp commercial side. I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade. Started at Marcus and Millichap years ago, and at the time was a brand new broker, just trying to make it in the business and trying to find creative ways to add value to clients. And it was during the 2006, 2009 crash. I saw a lot of clients, friends, and family get hurt pretty hard when they had overpaid for property, especially here in the Sacramento, California region. And along the way, I learned about something called the Deferred Sales Trust. I also learned about the Delaware Statutory Trust along the way as well. And so I expanded my practice to not only selling commercial real estate, but to help people defer capital gains taxes using what's called a deferred sales trust. And so a deferred sales trust is just a great way to defer taxes, not using a 1031 exchange. Clients are looking for options, especially given what's happening in the demographics, which is according to the American Bankers Association, there's about $17 trillion that's set to pass in the next 20 years. And this is known as the largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. And one of the challenges that a lot of folks are facing is just how do I get out of the toilets, trash, and liability? Or how do I really reset a new depreciation schedule? How do I maybe sit on the sidelines for a while and buy real estate at a good time? And so that's what the deferred sales trust allows you to do. You can now sell a deferred tax, not using a 1031 exchange. And by the way, it works for primary homes. It works for investment real estate. It can save a failed 1031 exchange. And it often gets confused with the Delaware Statutory Trust, which I've done a few of those as well, which is just another form of a 1031. And those are great options as well, depending on the client's needs. And so really it's just helping, we try to help our clients, and our clients include real estate professionals, on educating them on the options of how to help their clients. And so really that's kind of the introduction, Jim, and I can keep going, but I'll open it up maybe for questions for you, Jim, on some of the thoughts you want to take the conversation.
Yeah, Brett, if you could still go on. I know the other panelists are trying to still get into the world. So if you can still go on a little. Oh, actually, yeah. Tommy, here you are. So let's talk about the other DST, the Delaware Statutory Trust, if you don't mind, kind of giving a little background, because I know you talk in great details when you have your seminars and everything. So Tommy, if you don't mind talking about the other DST.
Yeah, no problem, Jim. We appreciate it, Brett. Appreciate seeing you on here as well. It was great speaking with you the other day. Thank you, everybody, for having us. The Delaware Statutory Trust, if you want to look it up, through the IRS tax code. It's regulated under IRS tax code 2004-86. And the Delaware Statutory Trust is pretty much a great solution and tool for clients who are looking to exit active management responsibilities. The Delaware Statutory Trust is a scenario that is applicable for 1031 exchange proceeds. So large institutions will go out there, purchase institutional grade real estate assets. Let's just say a large portfolio of self-student student housing or assisted living, multifamily assets, whatever it might be. They purchase these assets with their own proceeds. They bundle it up into the DST or Delaware Statutory Trust structure, and investors that are accredited can take their proceeds through 1031 exchanges and receive fractional ownership or beneficial interest in these large portfolios that we structure for clients. Our menu of DSTs can range from zero debt all the way up to highly levered deals, because as you know, in a 1031 exchange, you may be also exchanging debt proceeds or an LTV percentage. So with our menu that's very robust, we can carve out exact debt proceeds, exact equity proceeds, and build blended portfolios for clients doing 1031 exchanges. It makes it extremely simple and easy, probably the easiest 1031 exchange a lot of our clients have done. Pretty much because we have these turnkey solutions available to them at any time. So just for an example, I have a large client who sells a lot of different triple net properties, and he exits those and he calls me. I wish he would give me more time, but he usually calls me about a week before, and he asked me to circulate the menu that we currently have of DST opportunities for him. And we can build him a nice blended portfolio matching his debt. And on the day of closing, those proceeds go into the qualified intermediary's escrow account. And we pretty much have his DST menu built for him prior to that. And those proceeds will get funded into each one of the DST deals. And his portfolio is then managed by us as the financial advisors. and then also managed by the property level by the sponsor companies, usually multi-billion-dollar real estate companies that handle the management responsibilities of the assets. And then they look to exit out of these assets within a certain projected time period. On the exit, it's just like you're doing a regular real estate closing. The investor can choose to do another 1031 exchange, exit and pay his taxes, or go out into the market and 1031 exchange into another property of his choosing. So very simple, very easy, and very turnkey process on our end.
Is the Delaware Statutory Trust similar to analogous to Fundrise?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is the Delaware Statutory Trust analogous to Fundrise, that investment portfolio?
Those are crowdfunding. So do you want to talk, do you or John Paul? Because I know John Paul, if you're up here, a little about the DSTs and crowdfunding. I know Gene Trowbridge, if he's on here. Gene is an expert. I don't know, Gene, if you're here.
So Delaware Fundrise is crowdfunding. You're absolutely correct. But is Delaware Statutory Trust considered crowdfunding as well?
The Delaware Statutory Trust is a securitized investment. In terms of crowdfunding, and John Paul can probably speak more to this. I see John Paul up on the stage here too. But from our perspective, the Delaware Statutory Trust is a securitized investment. So from our end, we're not necessarily doing any crowdfunding. These are turnkey solutions that are already purchased by the sponsor companies. It's not a case where they're going out there and they're looking for equity to purchase the properties. These properties are already purchased. The debt levels are already in place, put in place by the sponsor companies. And pretty much all they're doing is they're allowing investors to come in and receive fractional ownership or beneficial interest in these deals that are already purchased, in place, and ready to go. They're turnkey solutions.
That's correct, Tommy. So what crowdfunding does is they go out and they aggregate much smaller dollar investments, and then they try to fill a DST or a tenant in common structure. Whereas each and every sponsor that Tommy and I participate in their offerings, the actual asset's owned outright, and then we go out and we kind of customize debt equity ratios that'll fit specifically for our clientele. It's not something that could be mass marketed to the public the same way the 1031 crowdfunding sites do. But, you know, I guess everybody has a method in which they do business.
It's really hard to hear anyone with the dog barking in the background.
Fortunately, we think they're just doing it on purpose to distract everyone. So we're really sorry. I know Craig and the Verbella team is looking so we could really kick them out of the session. You know, they're not trying to be productive. They're just being distractive to everyone. So I apologize for these interruptions, but we'll try to make you do the best.
Will this information be on PDF? Like, you know, you guys will post it?
We will share everything we can with the video and also the information from all the speakers and the links, so everyone can get information for this.
Okay, thank you.
So you answered, this is fractional ownership. Now, these high level investments, I mean, you mentioned Fundrise being small dollar amount investments. So for the DSTs, would you elaborate a little bit more? I mean, it's, you know, what type of investment?
So our clientele, they have to be accredited. And, you know, I'm pretty sure everybody in the room knows what it means to be an accredited investor worth $1 million, excluding your primary residence, and or as a single income, 200K per year or 300K with your spouse. The average investment, or the smallest investment, I should say, in the fund is 100K. But we have clients that literally will take down 3/4, if not all, of the actual deal when they find something specifically that they like. But usually the smallest increments that are out there in the space are 100K.
Gotcha.
And we've seen too on the DST front, you know, it's an incredible tool for people that are in real estate, commercial real estate agents, brokers, pretty much anybody who's a trusted advisor in the situation for a client that's selling a piece of property, because you know, a lot of the time these investors come to us because they either don't want to pay taxes and they can't find any great solutions out in the market. Maybe there's limited inventory, or a client doesn't want to manage their real estate anymore, but they want to take advantage of selling because, you know, prices are high. Or the third option is they're looking to sell a property and purchase another property through a 1031, and maybe it's not as much money as the property they're selling, which we call the boot. So if you're selling a property for $1 million, you identify a property for $800,000, you have $200,000 in boot. And because of those small increments John Paul was talking about, we can carve out those smaller increments in a 1031 and defer the full amount of taxes that are due for a client. So a lot of our investors, they usually come to us through one of those different pipelines. And once they see how easy and simple the DST is, they usually want to start selling a lot more of their assets. So real estate agents and brokers love kind of, you know, working with us because it can create a domino effect for a client that doesn't know this solution exists. And they can become, you know, more diversified in their portfolio, have less management responsibilities, and the broker, you know, gets to assist them in helping to sell all of their real estate assets and slowly unwind and move into a different phase in their real estate investment career.
Okay, perfect.
Tommy, one more thing I do want to mention is that we always encourage anybody doing a 1031 to use us as a backup. As everybody knows inside of this room, that deals fall apart pretty regularly. So we try to encourage everybody to at least use one DST on their identification sheet, God forbid.
We like to call it.
And if I could jump into there, guys, and let you know on the Deferred Sales Trust, what's nice is you don't you can use the Deferred Sales Trust kind of as a comparison. It can save a failed 1031 exchange. So we just did a deal in Georgia, $7.6 million sale, where we didn't have to identify the Deferred Sales Trust because it's not a property in one of the three positions, which most people will choose that rule. In other words, he was past his 45 days. He didn't identify the Deferred Sales Trust, and we saved that. And so it's a nice solution. Again, two DSTs here: Deferred Sales Trust, Delaware Statutory Trust, Delaware's 1031 rules. Deferred Sales Trust, it's IRC 453, which is separate rules, meaning there's no timing restrictions. It can save a failed 1031 exchange, but also sometimes clients want both options. In fact, I'm doing a mix of a Delaware Statutory Trust right now for a client with the Deferred Sales Trust. And for them, they have what's called a mortgage over basis challenge, where they're trying to take out their debt and then they want to remain active on the Deferred Sales Trust side, which is a big difference between the Deferred Sales Trust and the Delaware. Is that on the Deferred Sales Trust, you can go back into real estate of your own or with partners immediately and maintain what's called an active ownership, which then you can get what's called a brand new depreciation schedule, and you can do it at any time. And so, in fact, one of the best deals we have for that is a gentleman out of Minnesota. We call it the Monday Morning Quarterback. He sold in 2006. And he parked all of his funds into the Deferred Sales Trust after looking for 1031 properties, which didn't make a lot of sense. Prices were really high at that point. And he parked it into the Deferred Sales Trust. And then 5 years later, that property that he sold was foreclosed on. And so he bought it back at a discount, 60 cents on the dollar, with a brand new depreciation schedule, all tax deferred, not using a 1031 exchange. And so that was really powerful for him because he likes to be in control. He likes the new depreciation schedule. And he liked the timing aspect of being able to sell high and buy low, which is a big part of the Deferred Sales Trust.
Brett, I have a question. This is Nina in Los Angeles, and I'm partnered with an intermediary buyer who utilizes the 453 in the tax code to do intermediary sales. So are you saying that the Deferred Sales Trust is similar to an intermediary sale? It sounds a little different because with the intermediary sale, they're bringing in a lender to do a non-securitized loan for the seller, and then the intermediary buyer pays that back on behalf of the seller, but then the property is still sold to the end buyer. And through doing it this way, they save 1031s that are about to fail, or they don't have to do a 1031 and they can keep about 93% of their profits, and their capital gains are deferred for 30 years.
Yeah, great question. What you're referring to is what's called a monetized installment sale.
Exactly.
And that is one of our competitors. And one of the biggest things you want to make sure for any tax deferral strategy that you're looking at is the track record. And you want to ask some key questions. And here are the questions that I would recommend you ask of that structure or deferred sales trust or any other structure, which is first, how long have you been doing it for, right? How many have closed? How many IRS audits? And one of the biggest challenges we've seen with the monetized and at capital gains tax solutions, we do try to look at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, including Delaware Statutory Trust, 1031 exchanges, opportunity zones, and of course, the Deferred Sales Trust. And what we found is that money up front, and this can get a little technical, but it can be construed as constructive receipt, because what happens is they give you the money 93.5% up front and say, hey, whatever you want to do with it, go for it. And whereas the deferred sales trust is very different in that none of the money is given up front. In fact, it's truly 100% seller financing. So what we do is we say, hey, Mr. Seller, would you please carry back 100% financing for the trust in exchange for a promissory note? And as you receive payments on the trust, you'll pay tax slowly along the way. And by doing in that order, we've been able to close thousands with my business partners collectively and the other strategic alliances we have over 25 years. So the biggest thing is IRS audits. You want to make sure there's no pending litigation, which I believe the monetized still have some pending litigation going on, and that the people who are bringing this stand behind their work, meaning they provide what's called audit defense and they indemnify the client, which is a really nice part of the deferred sales trust with the tax attorneys who are batting 1,000 with the IRS as it pertains to the structure itself. And so those would be a few things there. So yeah, definitely there are some, what we like to say, maybe similar products out there, but the foundation and the structure is very, very different. And so I'd just be very cautious with that structure.
Yeah, the monetized sale, you mentioned it regarding, being careful with the auditing. And we actually have tax professionals and a tax attorney who walks them through the process prior to entering. But yes, there is, of course, you want to vet the person who's doing the monetized installment sale. The biggest difference that I see is that they're not doing seller financing. They're getting their full payment right away. And that is where the risk is for them in terms of auditing. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thanks. Great question.
Brett, is Bob Binkley still, the pioneer of the Deferred Sales Trust? It's been a little while.
Yeah, Robert Binkley is my business partner, and he's the co-founder of the Deferred Sales Trust, and I played for the 49ers, and I was just on a call with him this morning, and so he's out of Southern California. Yep, that's him. And then the tax attorneys who create the structure, so it's like a team of us. So we form the trustee services and educate on the front end. And then
Bob's a great guy. I've actually done a couple deferred sales trusts through my years. I've known Bob back probably 12, 13 calendar years. He used to present in a lot of the broker-dealer conferences we had. And my clients are all very content with the deferred sales trust. It's just a different animal. You kind of got to choose which way you want to go. And they both have their pros and they both have their cons. Are you guys still kind of capped out at a return threshold, like anything above 6 or 7% the trustee gets, not the investor?
That's actually one of the biggest misconceptions, right? So what's unique about the deferred sales trust, and this is actually what changed it for me about 11 years ago when I first learned about it, John Paul, I was like, it seems okay because of what you were saying, where you could essentially put it in there and then it's a financial advisor managing it, and stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And a lot of my clients weren't that excited about moving their commercial real estate equity to stocks, which they're typically a lot of clients are, they prefer commercial real estate. And in that scenario, if you set just a traditional installment note, it's typically 6 to 8% net of fees over a 10-year period. But what changed it for me was that Minnesota deal that I told you about a minute ago. That gentleman formed an LLC, and sort of like a self-directed IRA. The funds in the Deferred Sales Trust were partnered with the DST, and he bought that, and he was able to get 98% of the upside with a brand new depreciation schedule on the active side. And this is key. And when he told me that, I said, I think this will change everything once folks understand what's happening here. He's selling high, buying low, and then he's getting up to 98% of the upside. So if that property, gains $10 million, yes, the trust does have to, because it's a partner, have to receive some of the profit, but up to 98% of it could go directly to the principal owner. But most financial advisors won't tell you that. And the reason is that they want to manage the money. They don't want necessarily the clients going back into real estate of their own because they're not managing the money. And so that's what changed it for me. And I'd love to show you that offline and really dig into that if you like.
I would, but that's a newer structure and an event that recently took place, correct?
Same structure, always was around. And that was my question I had too. And he said, we always could do it, Brett. It just, we really didn't talk about it because when we were first starting out, we as financial advisors were trying to get accounts under management versus, other commercial real estate owners just basically kind of running the deal themselves. And so it's always been available and they had always done it. They just hadn't talked or educated people on it. And so that's where once you get it, and it's really simple, set an LLC, fund the LLC, go buy the property in partnership with the DST, then you can go. So same structure, always been there. Just most people don't know it because they haven't had somebody guide them through it before, if that makes sense.
It does. I would love to learn a little bit more, naturally offline.
I love these conversations, these deal junkie kind of very technical, but this is the one thing that we always want to bring to everyone is this unique knowledge, because the most important thing is everyone that can know who to go to and understand it basically. So now you can solve your clients' problems or issues or what they're thinking about. And it's just to give everyone as much tools as possible on how to think in other solutions. So that's what's so important and why we want to bring all of these different concepts, right, of tax savings and ways of helping your clients. And we will go in depth as this year now, what we talked about last year is now going in depth. So we will always find the best solution, trying to vet as good as possible as what we can, and make sure that we can work a best agreement for all of our eXp and people attending the meeting. So this is fantastic. So final words, Brett and John Paul and Tommy. I know Gene is not here today.
I'll start here, and you can find me at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and I'm an eXp multifamily broker here in Sacramento. Okay. And so I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade. Absolutely love the business, love working with people. So excited to be on here with eXp family, with Jim at the helm here, and working alongside folks like Tommy and John Paul. And so I appreciate the opportunity, Jim. And again, you can also go to YouTube. I have a channel called Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and I have a podcast too, where we're bringing on Tommy hopefully next week once he gets approval for that. And we're going to do a more in-depth battle of the DSTs back and forth, and do a webinar too coming up if he gets approval for that. And John Paul, I'd like to do likewise with you as well, so we can give more content to more of the listeners. And you can find that at our YouTube channel or iTunes.
I would love to. First, you got to get through Tommy Thompson, the machine first.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Brett,
Thanks,
did you
Jim.
say capitalgainstaxsolutions.com?
Yes,
Brett,
that's
if you can type it in if you want. And then John Paul and Tommy, closing words?
Sure.
Gets approval for that.
Sure. Well,
And
we
John Paul,
apologize for being slightly tardy today. I literally
So
just got all of the
content,
technology up on my
listeners,
home
you can find that
computer.
at our YouTube
Brett,
channel.
we are financial advisors, but we do not steer our clients back towards stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The vast majority of everybody we work with is a real estate owner, and they're passionate about it. Currently, Tommy and I are building out a website that's going to be doing purely custom deals. So you guys will be able to actually give us an assignment, let us know a specific asset class that you're looking for, state demographics, so on and so forth. And we will go out to our pipelines and the products we have access to, and we'll be able to bring you guys solutions that are one-off, but customized for your clientele. So that'll probably be live in about 7 to 10 calendar days. And I'd love to give a follow-up and walk everybody through a tutorial on that at a later date. But I'm 19 years in the business, co-founder of Fortitude Investment Group. I also own a sports marketing firm, and Tommy and I just recently launched a professional athlete relocation platform. So we have a vast majority of athletes all across the nation that are consistently looking to buy, sell, and rent homes. So Jim, at probably 3 months down the road, I'd love to also get some of these athletes on here to talk about what we've done for them, and possibly leverage the relationships you have to feed these guys some leads.
John Paul, you are thinking exactly what eXp is working on. We are working on a sports and celebrity division. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of integration, and eXp, that's why I love everyone's always thinking outside the box and bringing relationships in. So I will reach out to you definitely concerning and really spreading the wealth, right, with everyone part of our family.
Excellent. Thank you all for the time today.
Tommy, anything else?
Yeah, no, just to piggyback on that, a lot of exciting stuff happening. We're always looking for different solutions for our clients. And, I just want to close it with saying, we do a lot of different presentations on this topic, obviously. And one of them is how to use the Delaware Statutory Trust and the 1031 exchange as a prospecting tool for real estate agents and brokers, because it could be an incredible solution for your clients. You may have sold them an asset 10 plus years ago and it's highly appreciated. Maybe they're taking the next phase in their life and they don't really have a succession plan with children that are involved in real estate. That's a large part of our client base. And we help to put these solutions in front of them on the DST front so they can retire from active management, and you can help them to kind of unwind their portfolios. That is a situation that we work on very, very often. And usually the brokers are applauded for bringing us into the mix, and then they help them to sell their assets. And we have a turnkey pipeline in the background waiting for them to be able to exchange into, build them custom portfolios, and the clients are typically very happy. So it could be a great way for agents and brokers to, intensify their business and also bring a really strategic solution and a group that has a long track record to be able to provide these solutions for them. And then we tag team it together. And it's usually a great relationship. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll send over all of our marketing material, and we're glad to help anybody that we can. So Jim, thank you very much. You do an incredible job here. And Brett will definitely be chatting offline, and we'll circulate that call that we can do together. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Tommy, thank you. Brett, thank you. And John Paul, thank you so much. And of course, Craig Kaplan with Verbella, thank you so much. And no more barking dog for everyone. So thank you again.
All right, and that wraps up the presentation there. I hope everyone enjoyed that. If you want to learn more, if you're a business professional, you can go to experttaxsecrets.com and learn how to use the Deferred Sales Trust to grow your commercial real estate business, or a luxury realtor, right? Remember, this works for primary homes. And if you are just a individual learning about the Deferred Sales Trust for the first time, maybe using it for yourself, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and learn. And I'm trying to also think of maybe debrief a little bit as well. So, so John Paul brought up that point where, he thought it was capped at 6 to 8%, right? It's a common misconception. And where folks believe that the Deferred Sales Trust is going to limit you and there's no nuance to it. But no, it's not at all. It's really, once the funds are there, the beauty is up to 80%, by the way, can go to a brand new LLC. And then that can be used as a down payment to go buy a deal with the brand new depreciation schedule. So let's walk through that. Let's say you had a $5 million sale and you were deferring $2 million of tax. You could go the Delaware statutory route, right? And give up all control, give up all liquidity, have little to no diversification, and an old depreciation schedule. So that's option one. Or Deferred Sales Trust, move it into the trust and defer all the tax. And then you can put it into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate of your own. Okay. And then when you put it into real estate of your own, guess what? You get a brand new depreciation schedule, of which is versus the old one, which is better, right? You can also buy it whenever you want, right? We want to teach you how to sell high and buy low, not sell high and buy higher 180 days later and give up all control and all liquidity. So, by the way, I've done Delaware Statutory Trust before as well. One thing you always want to do is whatever you're considering doing, and you're taking advice from somebody who is giving you both opinions, including myself, is have they actually done it themselves or have their clients do it themselves? And I have done my series. I have my series 63, series 22, and I've done Delaware Statutory Trust with clients. Okay. Of course, I've done 1031 exchanges, and of course, I've done Deferred Sales Trust. So just make sure that guide who is telling you about that other strategy, that they've done that or have had clients look at it or go through it, right? Really in detail, right? To get the nuts and bolts. That being said, I've never done a monetize before either, right? And I have some strong opinions on that as well. But that's really based upon a lot of the clients who have looked at this Deferred Sales Trust strategy versus that, and digging in with them and seeing some of the evidence that really piles up, which is not flattering for them right now. By the way, they may win that IRS case right now. They're up against it. And if you want more information on where to find those cases, you can send the email to me and I'll send it to you. But you want to be cautious with that. So we're out of time now. So go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We want to have more conversations with me. I'm Brett Swarts, and I appreciate you